Hello, we are live. I am just adding D.
Hello.
Okay, hello. Welcome everybody. We've
Hi.
got 5 people here.
Is my face
Uh,
just getting cut off? Hold on.
yeah, I just have to like raise it up. Whoa, I just turned on a bright light. Is this better? It's
Yeah,
better. I don't know.
that ghostly sparkle on
Oh,
my face. Is that the look you're going for? Pale,
no.
pale.
Pale though, that's no, you don't want to go with that. Hello, Muhammad says hello.
Hello.
Oh, Randall, how you doing, man? Long time. So everybody, welcome to day 2 of 16x. 16x Books Challenge, day 2. And I guess we'll go right into it. We
Yeah,
can go into our review today. So day 1, we came up with our commitments, applying chapters 1 and 2. So I guess I'll go first. I'll share about that. Dee will share about that. And then afterwards, we'll share takeaways from chapter 3.
yeah.
And then we'll also share what we commit to do for that. And then tomorrow we'll come back for chapter 4.
And maybe set the context for everyone as to what the book is even about, given that there's a lot of people that are joining that have never been on this live before.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, sure. Book is about 16x, and it's a book by Richard Koch, and he's essentially a very well known management guru. And he's known for the book 80/20. And he was requested by Price Pritchett to write this book called 16x specifically. And this is this idea about how you can 16x your results. And it builds on the 80/20 Pareto principle, which is what Richard Koch is known for, which is that 20% of your results, 20% of your efforts lead to 80% of the results. So what we're doing this week is that we're going to read chapter by chapter from the book and essentially talk about how we are going to implement this in our own work schedules in our lives. Because without implementation, just knowing the theory of things, leads to really no impact. So this is a way that Abs and I have decided to essentially challenge each other because we are building things, projects that we would like and we would like for these projects to have significant impact.
Yes. Thank you for that beautiful introduction on 16XD. So yesterday was day 1, chapters 1 and 2. I will just share what my commitment was, and if I even did it, and if I did it, how that went. So chapters 1 and 2 were basically about just covering over the 80/20 principle. So it was the history of 16x and then the math of 80/20. So my commitment was to lay out all the activities that I'm doing, look at them from a high level, and really see what are the 20% of activities that are creating 80% of results. So that's what I committed to do, and I did do it last night. So I have it in front of me here. So I did it specifically for my coaching business that I'm building, and I broke it down to 2 things: expansion and maintenance. And then I have a set of activities for expansion, a set of activities for maintenance. And then from there, I just broke it down. I said, what is it? Basically, I reviewed my priorities. So when I did that, I realized there's a few activities that I've been doing that I wasn't conscious of, that I was just like going with the flow. And another aspect is I'm iterating very quickly. So there's new activities that are coming up, and I realized I need to review more quickly or in shorter periods of time, or rather probably set up weekly reviews or, even bi-weekly reviews twice a week. So that's something that's up next. But and the most important thing is to see it as a constant experiment, especially at the speed that Dee and I are working at, because we want to do what takes up a lot of time and do it in 10% of the time, maybe, or even less. But that means you have to do quicker iterations. And right now, just doing that review, it's been very powerful for me to just see from a high level, like, okay, where am I putting my energy and what has the biggest impact? Yeah. And
So my
yeah,
question, what has the biggest impact? What's that 20% of work that you're committing to that you think is going to give you 80% of the results?
yeah, it's really the work in this is what's the funny part. So yesterday when we spoke, and my hypothesis was that what that will reveal to me is likely that The things that I am uncomfortable with or might have been putting off are likely the items on my list that are producing the biggest impact. And that is actually what turned out to be true.
What
um,
makes you so uncomfortable?
it's so I'm in an accelerator program right now. We're in week 3, and the reason that it makes me uncomfortable is because we have to do. It's really building up really fast what we're working on, and so there are things that I may not do by myself because I wouldn't even think about it. So it's presented to me. I get to see it and I get to take action on it. But because it's so different, showing willpower, I'm just going to plug this in. But I think the main thing that what makes it uncomfortable is just that it's a very different activity. It's not something I'm used to. But it's a little discomfort, not a big deal. But what's important here is, and which happens, right? It's natural. We're
Hmm.
stepping out of our comfort zone, which is where the growth zone lies. And that's also what makes it very exciting. So one of my major 20% of activities is to just hone in on making sure that not only am I on track with, but I'm ahead of the activities in the accelerator. So I do it earlier in the week, um, and then I make time for the other aspects, and also social media. That is something that's made me very uncomfortable. I think Dee, maybe you can relate to this because you're also working a lot more on social media now, and I'm really starting to ramp up. And especially for people like us, we are like these meditative people. We're not so big on social media and scrolling through, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now for what we want to build, we have to go and post. We have to go and create posts, manage them, and comment and do all these kinds of things, and it's just like it's a little uncomfortable for us.
Hmm.
So that is a major part that I get to focus on more because that creates a big impact, especially in terms of like over time, because that's what really compounds, and that's what we want to focus on the compounding interest of this 20% of activities.
Yeah, totally. So that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. And the thing that I wanted to share, and well, my commitment yesterday was to take a look at all of the activities that I have, because I am building the Dirt Magicians community, and eventually I'm going to be building the app for Mahi/Dirt Magicians. And that activity is going to start very soon in terms of building the prototype of the app. So what I committed to is I'm going to look at the goal that I want to achieve for the month of October, and then look at all the activities and see what's contributing towards that specific goal and then hone in on that. And my goal is pretty straightforward. I want to grow the Dirt Magicians Facebook group this month to over 250. We're at 160, and we grew it from like 85 to 160 just in the last week and a bit, or 10 days. So I think we've kind of discovered a way to essentially grow the group. So I want to see it grow to over 250 or 300 in the next couple of weeks. So there's a few different things that we're going to be experimenting with in order to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do that. But then I realized that, the content that gives people the highest value is essentially when they hear other gardeners talking about their own experiences and tips that are coming from the gardeners. And we've been creating a lot of different kind of content from September 1st to kind of experiment to see what is working versus what doesn't work. And what seems to be resonating with people is when we feature a dirt magician. And so I realized, hey, why not just like double down on that and just go all in with only that type of content? We can provide a bit more variety as well, but instead of providing that as a 20%, as that being 20% of the content and 80% is other things, let's try and make that 80% of the content and everything else is 20%. And let's see what kind of results we have. So I flip the ratio of that content. So let's see what shows up. I'll only know in the next 6 weeks, right? Because there's always the results that are lagging. But it was a really valuable exercise. And I love what you just said to me about how you kind of divided this into expansion and maintenance activities. And I should do that for my community activities versus the app building activities because I have both. And both are equally important and they have to happen simultaneously. So I'm going to do that. I'm stealing that from you. So, and then
And
20 in both buckets as opposed to just having one singular goal because I'm doing both, right?
yeah.
So that was really cool. I really enjoyed doing that. And then I thought to myself, if I just did this on a regular basis, I would be so much more effective.
Hmm.
So I'm glad we kicked off this book club because I'm now going to incorporate that into my monthly routine. Because every month on Lucid app, I kind of make I have a chart that kind of outlines everything I want to get done by the end of the year. And then I look at the tasks that I've done on this, visualization and what I'm accomplishing versus not accomplishing. So I kind of do an inventory of that every single month. But I think dividing that into the 80/20 bucket now is going to add another layer to that kind of planning and execution. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah, no, it's great. And even for me, it helps me align more with my metrics in terms of what I want to achieve as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is I want to attract people whom I can help, who want my help and are able to pay me. And I want to attract the right people. So how can I do that? And how can I actually deliver the services and create massive value for them in as short of time as possible so that they get big value without having to spend a lot of time working with me? So it's like, well, what is it that does that? And I
Right.
think especially, so that's the expansion of the maintenance. So, I mean, I'm already applying this in some ways for the maintenance, but for the expansion activities, I've been iterating and testing so many things. And then in the accelerator, they're giving different activities. I'm trying to do that. So I think for me also, what you shared was very interesting about flipping the content. So I'm going to actually look at that and see.
I just look at
Um,
what performs better and then just do more of that and see what the results are. You
so
know?
for me, if you notice last few days, I posted memes and they're performing so well. Like,
Yeah.
because I have a creator account, so I can see the statistics and I see a lot of saves and a lot of shares, like 1,000, 3,000% more saves and shares. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
And even likes, and I can also see how many non-followers are looking at that. But there's another aspect of it too. So it'll just be like general people as opposed to people who are actually looking for services,
Right.
people who want the help. But when I look at this, it's like, well, why don't I use this as a way to uh, bring more people into the fold, and then they see the other valuable content, and they see, okay, this person is actually offering something that is valuable to me. So it's I'm glad you said this because it opens the door of like, hey, you can create and post more content that actually pulls people in through comedy and things like that, especially because that's more likely to get shared
Yeah,
and
totally.
show up.
That's funny you say that because I've been talking to my guy about the same thing, which is I'm my guy, I mean social marketing man about the same thing, which is gardening humor, because humor is
Yeah,
a great tool to capture people's attention. And then once you have their attention, because that's the currency, they are willing to then invest in other content that you put up as well, right? So
exactly.
that's interesting parallels right there because gardening humor, same thing. It's just, it resonates with gardeners because there's just such a unique tribe of people and
Hmm.
they understand what it takes to do what they do and the kind of commitment and love and devotion it takes. So things that are funny to them are not funny to everybody else. So,
But it
you,
also resonates more and relates more, right?
yeah,
So they feel more connected to that. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So I guess we can go into day two takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? Creating white space for
Yep. Day two, creating white space, chapter three. Okay, I'm not going to pull it out because you pulled it up.
And I have to say that this is one of my favorite chapters because
Hmm.
I did do a program with Price Pritchett, uh, which is U squared and quantum leap ritual and quantum leap strategy. And he
Hmm.
talks about white space in that. And again, it's emphasized in this book. And I have to tell you, this is my favorite chapter.
So for the audience that's listening, this is U squared, and this is quantum leap strategy.
Oh,
I just happen to have the books here.
yeah, I thought
Oops.
I lost audio there.
No, somebody called me. Okay, that was weird. No, we're all good.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go into day two takeaways. I'll go first. So this is very interesting. As I was reading this morning in the car, I wasn't driving, of course, because I that would be weird. The first thing I realized was don't take things too seriously.
Hmm.
And I just want to set a context. Like with my clients, I always I I make a point to create a white space. I'll be like, schedule some time in your calendar to do nothing for the week or for the day, just like an hour, half hour, just to do nothing, to just go out in nature and just be there. So I've been familiar with this for a while, and even for myself, I will just have like a blank calendar for like 4 hours, not to do anything. I'll still end up doing something for most of it, but at some points in time, I'll just tune out on purpose. This was a reminder for me not to take things too seriously. Um, and also reminded me not to cancel the white space. Because right now, as I mentioned, since I've been iterating more quickly and I've been getting with, and especially like social medias, started getting a lot more engagement and conversations. So I was like, oh, I won't have white space. I'm just going to focus more on this. But reading this today was a reminder like, hey, don't do that. Maintain the white space. Because that creates the distance for me and all the things that I have to do. And the more distance there is, the greater the clarity and more opportunity for me to see what is it that I need to actually focus on. Otherwise, if you start doing things, you just get caught up in it and you just start doing more of the same, creating more of the same. It doesn't create that exponential change that you're looking to do. So for me, it was a really powerful reminder.
Yeah,
And
totally.
that was it. Like, just, it's fun not to do things and to focus on what's higher impact. And the big takeaway was it's possible in every situation to dig deeper and deeper, to make a way out of no way. And the why, the most important thing is this shows why surroundings are important. Because if you're in a surrounding that is supporting you for what you want to do, you can focus down on what's needed. Otherwise, if you're in surroundings where you're like trying to just survive, then you don't have the opportunity to take rest and be like, okay, let me see how I can create better results and focusing when I need to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's moving from surviving to winning. But yeah, that's more than one takeaway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would say that's the core of the chapter, which is like taking a step back and creating the white space and doing less, because so much about U squared and quantum leap strategy, and now what's being emphasized in 16x is doing less in order to accomplish more. And that is completely counterintuitive to a lot of people, because the general narrative is that you have to do more in order to be more, in order to get more, right? And what I love about this chapter is just about how you can strip away so many things in your life that are completely unnecessary. But that having that white space to be able to sit in the white space and take an inventory of everything that you're doing on a daily basis, and essentially then see what's not producing results. So for example, I mean, with social media is the perfect example. If
yeah.
you're on social media because you're there to post something or engage with your followers, but then you spend another 45 minutes on the explore page of Instagram, or you're basically like, like scrolling your feed or looking at what everybody else is posting. That's completely unrelated to what you're doing, but you've now lost 45 to 60 minutes.
And I catch myself doing that.
Exactly, because it's super addictive, and it kind of pulls you in, and that's how it's been designed, right? I mean, they spend millions
Yeah.
of design it in a way that it's sticky, that it's a sticky product, and you spend as much time on it as possible. So that would be an example of an activity that you could potentially strip out, which is consuming energy, time in your day, and you could reallocate that time and energy to something that actually produces results. But one has to have the awareness that that's going on, and you're putting time and energy there, and creating that white space is what will enable you to do that. And
And
one,
also doing an audit.
yeah, it's an audit, but
No, I'm
one,
saying also doing an audit and
oh,
additionally doing an audit.
in addition to having white space. Yeah.
Like doing an audit every hour, for example.
Oh, right. You're saying at the end of every hour? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
This
Yeah.
is actually this is one of the first things that I have my clients do. That
Uh,
it's one of the first things they get to do so that
Right.
they can see like what do they plan and what are they actually doing and see the discrepancy and be like, okay, what is it that actually creates results? And it might be neither of those things, but that creates the awareness and it's like, okay, and now I'm going to update and every single day I'm going to iterate, make massive progress. But yeah, but the most important thing here is the white space allows for the internal awareness to come from within.
Yeah. And so my question for you is, how do you create white space? And I'm happy to share how I do it.
Yeah. No, I do it by scheduling things and having like a 30-minute break in between. For example, on purpose. Like, so we were supposed to do this at 7, we started at 7:30 and I had nothing scheduled afterwards. And I was like, okay, there's 2, 3 things I need to do. I didn't put it on my calendar. I said, I know I'm going to sit at some point for like an hour, 2 hours after our call, but I'm not going to plan when I'm going to do it. I just know I'm committed to it. So I make certain commitments, but I don't say like I'm going to do this and this and this and this, because I catch myself all the time where I'll be like, at least twice in a week, there will be days where I'll go back to back to back to back with a bunch of different calls. And sometimes I get to do that because that's how it turns out, because it's not just up to me, because you work with different people. But when it is just me, that's what I do. I will be like, nope, 30 minutes, I'm just going to like keep a break just for no reason. And I might just listen to music or just hang out, like literally
Yeah.
no purpose. But that'll create the awareness of like, wait, what am I doing? And it'll create that pause in between to be like, okay, the rest of the day I can do this, 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 this. And all of a sudden, new creativity came in and I just came up with new ideas. And I wasn't trying to create them. That's what's important here. I wasn't forcing anything. It's just I have consciously created some boundary that I'm just not going to do anything. And that's what I love it. In my calendar, I will just leave blank space.
Interesting, interesting. So what I do is a little bit, and this is something that I learned through one of my coaching programs where I have a coach and I do a program called The Key to Results. And I do this thing where, at least at the beginning of the month, when I'm looking at the activities for the month, um, if there's specific things that I want to get answers on, like what can I do to achieve the most amount of results? I create something called a mentor table. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll write a question on a piece of paper and I will sit on different sides, like I'll sit in different chairs. So I'll invite whoever is my mentor to the table on an energy level. And I will do that with 2 or 3 different people. And then I'll ask the same question to the 2 or 3 different people. Like I've invited Elon Musk to the table before. And what was interesting is that you will actually get answers because on an energy level, we're all connected. And I realized that it's a really powerful way to create white space because essentially you are asking very pertinent questions for very specific things that you feel you might be blocked on and get answers. So that's one way I've created white space, or I continue to create white space. And then the other way is just having a meditation practice. For me, that's my white space. Samyama sadhana is my white space.
I didn't actually. Then it's also white space for me.
It,
I didn't. I. That's funny you say that because I did not consider that as white space.
it is.
Then I have multiple times a day. I do. I have my white space, my yoga practices, my sadhana. That is white space.
It is because you're going into like a completely different brain frequency, right? Now, we're
Yeah.
generating beta waves or alpha waves or some other wave frequency. And
Yeah.
when you go in there, that is what unlocks the creativity. Of course, like listening to music and all these other things are very much white space, but I find that just sitting in meditation and like literally doing nothing in meditation, because that's Samyama sadhana specifically is about doing nothing, right? You just kind of sit
Hmm.
and
Yeah. Exactly. That
yeah,
one is.
I find that very powerful. Like I find that it really activates my creativity on a whole other level. So I
Hmm.
would say that is white space for me.
Okay. That's also white space for me. I just wasn't counting that. I was thinking more on like doing nothing, but I'm glad you brought this up because now I can reorient my thinking or reframe myself to
Yeah,
be like, hey, this is white space and notice that.
totally.
Like and actually see it as that. So that's really amazing. Um,
I've got a little.
what did is that? Did you have any other takeaways to share? Oh,
No, I don't. So I
yeah,
think that's good, right? We're
yeah.
good.
I think that's good in terms of commitment. Like, um,
Put some.
I'm not sure because I already kind of do this. So I don't have. I thought I didn't even write anything down because I was like, well, like what's a new white space thing I can do? Um,
Uh, I think we could just reinforce our commitment to have that white space every day. I mean, that's it.
yeah,
It's just refortifying that commitment.
yeah, yeah. All right, there we go. That's our commitment for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
exactly.
Oh, I
When we come back on the call tomorrow, we've done our white space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. I'm just opening up the next chapter is chapter 5. Is that chapter
Fo-
5? No,
fo-
4.
Focus, focus.
Chapter 4. Focus, focus, focus. So, tomorrow we will see you all. Day 3 for chapter 4. Focus, focus, focus. Super excited. All right, there we go. That's our commitment for tomorrow. Oh, I, Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else to add, or are we good to go, Dee?
No, we're good. I'm super excited about the chapter. And again, the book is 16x, so highly recommended. Look at how small this book is. But again, the book really emphasizes the fact that you don't need to have a 200-page book in order for the book to be give you value. Such a small book is teaching us so much, and it's really helping us hone our own impact.
It's been more impactful than a lot of long books. I kind of stopped reading really long books because it doesn't really help. It's like you don't need that much time or that many words to tell me the message. Just
That,
tell me and I'll apply it.
that's right.
Okay, well, everybody will see you tomorrow. Have a
Okay,
good evening or morning, wherever you are. Bye.
bye.